In today's video, we are going to be going over the parts of the insect mouth and the different kinds of modifications of the mouth parts. The mouth parts of insects vary greatly, but all consist of the same five basic: the labrum, the mandibles, the maxillae, the hypopharynx, and the labium. As there are different modifications to these mouth parts depending on feeding strategy, we will look at an example of mouth parts used for chewing. The first mouth part is the labrum. The labrum is also known as the upper lip of the insect mouth parts. It is simple and usually bilobed in structure. It forms the roof of the mouth and the preoral cavity, covering the mouth cavity from above. The inner surface, also known as the ventral surface of the labrum, is called the epipharynx. The labrum articulates with the clypeus section of the head. The function of the labrum is in helping pull food towards the mouth and hold it in position whilst the insect is feeding. Feeding the mandibles are also known as the insect jaws. They are paired structures. One is found on each side of the head. They function in grasping, cutting, and crushing food. They can also function in defense of the insect against predators or competitors. The mandibles move along the horizontal plane towards each other in the middle. Each mandible often has a distal cutting edge which has teeth on it. Then, further back, a molar area that is used for crushing and grinding up food. The maxillae are also paired structures with one found on each side of the head below the mandibles. Each maxilla is made up of several parts. The basal part of the maxilla is composed of two parts, the cardo and the stipes. Attached to the stipes are two lobe structures called the lacinia and the galea. Another structure known as the maxillary pulp comes off laterally from the stipes. The maxillary pulp is segmented. The maxillae function in manipulating food into the mouth, and in some types of insects are involved in masticating food. The galea and maxillae pulps also function in sensory perception using mechanoreceptors and chemoreceptors. The next mouth part is the hypopharynx, which is a tongue-like structure. In certain insects, the hypopharynx has a pair of lobes, one found on each side of the supralinguae. The hypopharynx divides the oral cavity of the insect into a dorsal and ventral area. The dorsal area of the oral cavity forms the food pouch, called cibarium. The ventral or lower area of the oral cavity forms the salivarium, which the salivary duct opens up into. The last mouth part is the labium, which is also known as the lower lip. The labium forms the base of the preoral cavity of the insect mouth. It is made up of two larger areas, the postmentum and the prementum. The postmentum itself can be divided into two parts, the submentum and the mentum. The prementum has a pair of labial pulps that come off each side. At the end of the prementum, there are a pair of glossa. Then out from this are a pair of paraglossa. Another type of variation in insect mouthparts are those specialized for siphoning. This is the common mode of feeding used by most moths and butterflies from the order Lepidoptera. In these insects, the mandibles are usually greatly reduced or completely absent. The paired labium are still present on each side of the head and bear labial pulps. The hypopharynx is absent, as is the epipharynx. The galea of each maxillae are greatly elongated and modified to form the proboscis. At rest, this proboscis is in a coiled position underneath the head. When in use, the proboscis uncoils using an increase in blood pressure of the hemolymph. The proboscis is used to reach nectar or other liquids. These liquids are sucked or pumped up through the proboscis by muscular action. The last variation in insect mouthparts we are going to go over are those specialized for a piercing and sucking mode of feeding. There are several different variations of modifications in different insects other than this one I am describing here to form piercing and sucking mouthparts. Members of the order Hemiptera, also known as the true bugs, are the example of insects we are going to go over that have this type of variation of the mouth parts. In these insects, the labium is elongated and extends downwards. It also has a groove in it called the labial groove. The labrum is present, but the epipharynx of it is absent, as is the hypopharynx. The paired maxillae and mandibles are modified to form 4 stylets that sit in the labial groove. These form a food canal and a salivary canal. The stylet bundle is used to pierce and suck up fluids.